questions. Have you ever once in a Republican presidential campaign seen a Republican candidate for president praising Planned Parenthood effusively on a national debate stage? Mind you, he had just called me a liar for saying that was his record. And Marco Rubio does the same thing. Marco Rubio is behaving like Donald Trump with a smile. At the debate, I made 3 points about Marco's record on immigration. Number one, that Marco right now, currently, supports granting citizenship to the 12 million people here illegally. That is a fact. It is a fact he said just a couple of debates ago on the debate stage that he currently supports that, and he acknowledged this may not be the majority view in my party, but I, Marco Rubio, support it. And he said it on Meet the Press with Chuck Todd just a few weeks ago, where he went even further and said he would grant citizenship to illegal aliens with criminal convictions. The first point I made about immigration, that Marco currently supports granting citizenship to the people here illegally, is a fact. It is his own record. It is his own words. The second observation I made about him is that in Florida he supported granting in-state tuition to illegal immigrants. That likewise is a fact. There's no gray area. There's no interpretation. It is a legislative fact. And the third point I made is that Marco went on Univision in Spanish and said that on his first day in office he would not rescind President Obama's illegal executive amnesty. Now that too is a fact. Look, the Univision, you can go watch the video. He said this on national television. It is this bizarre notion that words said on national television somehow don't exist. And Marco's response was exactly the same as Donald's. It was to yell, liar, liar, liar. And indeed, to respond with the quip, how would Ted know what I said on Univision? He doesn't even speak Spanish. Well, as the debate demonstrated, that was another false statement from Marco. Although I will readily admit my Spanish is not great. But that's also a debater's trick Marco was doing, because notice he didn't answer the substance of anything I said, because the facts were all true and accurate. And instead, both Marco and Donald, their strategy is simply to yell, liar, liar, liar. But I will say it has been even more unfortunate. Both Donald and Marco have gone a further step. In addition to yelling liar whenever anyone points to their actual record, makes true statements about their policy positions, the second strategy that both Donald and Marco have relied upon is utter fabrications. Yesterday, Donald Trump retweeted his own social media director, who claimed that Senator Tom Coburn had said that I was dishonest. Now, I understand this amplified the attack that Donald's making. He's been screaming liar, liar, liar every time anyone points to his own record, so it was great for him to be able to point to someone else saying the same thing. There's just one minor detail. The quote was a complete fake. Indeed, within a few hours, Tom Coburn went on the record and said that the quote was a, quote, utter fabrication. In response to that, Donald deleted his tweet. His social media director deleted his tweet. But then, amazingly, a few hours later, Donald went on a national TV broadcast and repeated the fabrication. After he had deleted the tweet, after Tom Coburn had said it was an utter fabrication, Donald happily sat on national TV repeating things that are simply made up, that have no basis in truth, that are complete fabrications. That is a new level for presidential politics. And I would note, the Rubio campaign is doing the same thing. They are right now in the closing period of a campaign. Not focused on any positive policy agenda, not focused on any substantive differentiation between his record and my record, not focused on any accomplishments that Mr. Rubio has, but instead devoting all of their energy to, number one, screaming liar, and number two, focusing on two fabrications. Number one, this fake Facebook post that was allegedly put up retracting Trey Gowdy's endorsement. Now, the Facebook post is a fake. We didn't design it. We had nothing to do with it. And yet, the Rubio campaign over and over and over again is claiming that we did, with zero evidence. Falsely attributing misconduct to us with no basis whatsoever other than it fits the narrative they would like to drive. And then secondly, the Rubio campaign is talking about these supposed push polls that have been going out. Now, I have no idea if there have been push polls or not, but what I know is our campaign has had nothing to do with them. We have said that multiple times. Now, what is a push poll? A push poll is a poll that is not conducted to measure public opinion, not conducted to determine, okay, where are the candidates, which messages are resonating, which ones are not. That's a typical poll that every campaign is doing. A push poll is something different. A push poll is something that goes out very, very widely and is designed just to push negative messages to reach lots of voters. It's a means of voter communication. And often push polls are pushing information that is nasty and often false. Now, I don't know whether there have been push polls or not in this campaign, but I know that our campaign had nothing to do with it. And yet Marco, his campaign sent out 500,000 robocalls with a major campaign surrogate of his accusing our campaign of being behind the push polls. Now, he was asked today what evidence he had for that. He had no evidence. He has no basis whatsoever. He simply, his campaign, look, it's unfortunate. His campaign has not gotten the traction he wanted. I recognize that the Rubio campaign is disappointed with a third-place finish in Iowa. They're disappointed with a fifth-place finish in New Hampshire. And the consultants who are running his campaign apparently made the decision that their one hope of doing well is to make false attacks with no basis whatsoever. I will note the one person we know has done a push poll is Senator Marco Rubio. When you send 500,000 robocalls, you're not trying to measure public opinion. You're trying to drive a negative message. And what was the push poll the Rubio campaign was pushing? That the Cruz campaign was unethically driving these push polls. They have no basis for it. This is an entirely made-up fabrication, just like the Tom Coburn quote that Donald Trump used. And let's be clear. How do we know it's Marco Rubio? Well, because the robocall ends with, "This was paid for by Marco Rubio for president." That's actually how someone responsible points for evidence. How do I know they did those robocalls? Because it's from their campaign directly. Look, ethics matter. When you have Donald Trump and Marco Rubio repeatedly putting forth fabrications with no evidence, no basis whatsoever, just trying to throw mud and attack. I get that candidates want to tell the voters, listen, everyone's dirty, everyone's unethical. But that's not true. And their strategy of screaming liar whenever anyone points to their record and relying on fabrications is not indicative of candidates running honest campaigns. And with that, I'm happy to answer questions.
Senator, I know you're defending yourself, obviously, and pointing to the record, but for a while you told us that you would not get down. Do you feel that this is you stooping to their level in some way?
From the beginning of this campaign, we've taken the high